Good morning, friends. I hope you are all doing well this morning. So this is day 8 of the yoga challenge, and it's a very snowy day, which is, it's funny. I moved here to get away from the snow, but there's some snow, but it will only last a few days, so I think I can handle it. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a chilly morning. We had the fire going this morning to warm up the house, and I've got my socks on and layers, and I'm so like it's chilly. It's chilly. This is why I moved away from Alberta too. It's just the cold. It really gets to me. But anyway, so today is day 8. So I wanted to sit down and have kind of like a sit down chat with you guys about some of the mistakes I made when I first started yoga. So I talked last time about, the common mistakes I see on the mat. But I wanted to share my struggle a little bit with the things that really, really were difficult for me to relearn not to do. So by far the first biggest mistake I ever made when I first started yoga, and through most of my yoga up until a couple years ago when I got really sick, was compare myself to other people. I did this all the time. And not just comparing yourself to other people, like, I think everybody has a little bit of like, oh, wow, this admiration for other people. Like, I really admire that she could do that, and I really wish I could do that. And, or like, but it went down even deeper than that. It turned into, self-criticism. Like, how come I can't do that? Why am I not strong enough? What's wrong with me? Why am I not flexible enough? Why can't I do this? And it would be so stressful to get on my mat, because it would turn into this, string of negative thoughts, string of like, tearing myself down because I wasn't capable of doing something. And it was horrible. It was horrible. I'd spend so much of my time beating myself up about the things I couldn't do instead of being proud of the things I could do, and seeing that as, these little goals that I achieved, or these little triumphant moments, And it wasn't until I got sick and I could barely kind of get out of bed and just do like the daily, tasks of walking and moving and those sorts of things that we take for granted a lot, that I started to get on my mat with so much more compassion and so much more understanding, and just telling myself things like, you know what, it's okay. It's okay that you're sore today. You know what, you just do what you need to do, And it was such a different shift in my whole perspective of my yoga practice, of myself, where I was on my journey. It shifted everything. So I really struggled with that up until just a couple years ago. One of the biggest reasons why I never took my yoga training a lot earlier is because I never thought that I was strong enough or flexible enough or capable enough. And it's so crazy how much those thoughts can shift your life, that can take over, and then you avoid doing the things you love doing because of all these kind of these stories you tell yourself, right? So that was one of my biggest mistakes, was beating myself up for not being able to do things, comparing myself to others, and putting the bar way too high of like, this is what I should be doing, which really, there's no should in yoga. Like, there just is, right? You just are. That's what you're doing on your mat. You're just showing up and you're just being you. And wherever that is perfect. You don't need, there is no I have to get here or I should be there. So for me, that was a huge shift when I started to be more compassionate with myself, started to be more patient with myself, and started to take time to just accept myself for where I was and be proud of those little things of like, oh, I did this today, I bent a little farther, or, I spent 30 minutes instead of 10 minutes on my mat. So that was one of my huge, huge, huge mistakes. And it made yoga very, very not enjoyable. So, and I think a lot of people do it. So that's why I'm bringing it up. The other big mistake that I made, and I'm getting better at, but I still do sometimes, is drop into my joints. So I don't know if everyone knows what I mean by dropping into your joints, but because of my flexibility, I can really like push in to like my joints so that my joints are holding me instead of my muscles. So I don't know if that makes any sense. There's a difference between like, you know, leaning kind of into something and then holding yourself up in it. So that's one of the things that I did a lot is just kind of like fall into my joints instead of holding them, the muscle around it holding me up. And that creates a lot of injury. It creates a lot of strained muscles. It creates just a lot of discomfort, and you're not really training your body to get stronger because you're just falling into your joints. So that's one thing that I did that I really struggled with, and that I still do. I'm getting much better because when I start to do it, and it's just like a habit, then I kind of go, oh, wait a second, I gotta pull back, I gotta build that muscle, right? So that was one of the things I struggled with. The other thing I still struggle with, and it's so awful, but to this day, I struggle with sitting in Shavasana. I am such a go-go person, and sometimes I need to rest, and sometimes I do. I really allow myself, like I listen to my body, and it's like, okay, if I need to rest, I rest, and if I need to take it slow in yoga, I take it slow in yoga. But I don't give myself enough time in Shavasana. Like, I will be the first to admit, like, Shavasana is a place where you should really be like, that's that nurturing part of the practice. That's the letting go. That's the releasing and all that stuff. But it can be uncomfortable for a lot of people. A lot of things can come to the surface, a lot of stresses that you're holding on to, a lot of emotions. Sometimes just being a mom of 3, I just get so busy, and then it's like, okay, you know, I got my yoga and I gotta get going. I've got all these other things to do. So yeah, that is something I do struggle with, is taking the time to really like just absorb the practice and really like just soak into it and take it in. So yeah, that's another thing I still struggle with, like every day. It's all the time with me. So reminding myself it's okay to slow down. It's okay to take like 3 more minutes or 5 more minutes and just lay, and it's fine. You don't have to be productive every minute of the day. So those are the 3 biggest struggles that I can think of that I had in my practice, that when I started to shift things, when I started to work with my muscles and stop falling into my joints, it changed my practice drastically. When I started talking kind to myself and I started being compassionate and understanding and loving to myself of where I was, that completely shifted my practice. So yeah, these are things that I think that a lot of people do, and I thought I would share and say, like, I'm there with you, I've done it, and I can tell you when you begin to shift it how different things feel when you practice, and how just wonderful it comes together when you start to really listen to your body and your soul and everything, your emotions, all of that. When you start to make those connections of what you need, and then you start allowing yourself space to have those things and do those things, it shifts everything, and what happens on the mat ends up spilling out into your life afterwards. So if you have a really good practice and you're saying these really positive things to yourself and you're feeling really good about yourself, when you get off your mat, you're going to go about your day feeling more confident, feeling more comfortable in your own body, feeling more comfortable in you know, your surroundings, and with people around you, right? If you're not comparing on the mat, when you come off the mat, you're not going to compare, you know? It's like, that's their journey, this is my journey, right? And we're all equal. So yeah, I definitely believe that those few things really shifted my practice. I'm still working on the Shavasana one. But yeah, so that I just thought I would share my little bit of like struggle with my yoga practice over the years, and just being a little bit honest and open, in hopes that, you know, it might make you feel a little bit less alone if you're struggling with some of those things. All right, so I hope you guys have a wonderful day 8. I had to think about that, day 8. I want you guys to get on your mat today and speak kindly to yourself. So if you start to feel like you're getting negative and you're starting to be like, oh, I'm so frustrated. Oh, I should be able to do this. Don't stop. Just take a breath and say, you know what? I love myself for where I am right now. I feel good about where I am right now. I am compassionate to myself. I am loving to myself. Just say those words. Just begin to shift that mindset. And keep that practice with you through the next 3 weeks of every time that those things start creeping in, just shift it slightly, and you'll see a huge difference. All right, so that's your challenge for today. I will see you guys all tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful day. If you guys are freezing in Alberta, I saw your guys' weather. It looks awful. I am so sorry, but we have some snow here too, so we're all kind of a little chilly this winter. But yes, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we will talk really soon. All right?